Hello YouTube viewers, I'm just going to show you now how to paint and weather retaining walls. I've had a few requests on my channel from subscribers. I'm going to take you through what I actually do to make these more realistic and appropriate to the model you're making on your layout. This is a three-part retaining wall from Fala. It does come pre-coloured, but to me doesn't look realistic enough, so I'm going to paint and weather this, and I'll take you through the process. Okay, so we've got the three-part retaining wall incline here, which has already been painted with spray paint from the factory. Now to me it's not realistic enough for what I'm after, so what I'm going to do, obviously there's no proper filling in the mortar joints there, so I'm going to use this matte 121 paint by hand by Humbrol. It's number 121, and that's going to go inside the mortar joints on each section. So I'll just take you through that. All I'm going to do basically here is go around all the mortar joints here and fill it in with the paint right deep into the joints there. It's not too long a job, so a bit boring, but worth doing, as you'll see the results in the end. Okay, all the mortar joints are painted now, and what I've done here, I've toned it down as well, because if you look at the retaining walls in real life, you get the darker bits in between the mortar that have weathered over time, and you get fresh bits that have been repointed. So try and tone it down a bit so it makes it more realistic. You don't want a full fresh mortar all over. But I'm going to leave that to dry now overnight. Okay, all the mortar joints on the brickwork is now dried overnight, and now I'm going to paint the brick face, and for this I'm using the Revel paint, which is like a slight blue tint of grey, and it's matte 78, and I'll show you how I paint the brick face. Okay, what I actually do here is actually take some paint out of the pot, put some paint on the card and just brush a bit of the paint off so you get a minimal amount on the brush, and then by using the flat end middle part of the brush you just basically stroke down the brick face so it only covers the actual brick face, not the mortar joints. And as you can see there, it's coming through on the brick face only. So I'll continue to do this until the whole retaining wall is done. Okay, the paint's now dried, and as you can see it's come up really well where the brick's been painted. You can see the mortar joints in there. Around there for you. Now the next stage is the weathering. Okay, what I'm going to do now is the weathering, and if you go and visit a site where there is retaining walls or look on the internet, a lot of these walls were built in the Victorian era, so they're very old, and you'll see weathering effects like a white smudge on them where the salt from the bricks has leaked out and cover the brickwork. So what I'm going to do for that, I've got some white paint here. I'm just going to dab the brush, and I'm going to dry brush this again. So I'll just take some off the brush, and we'll do a streak, say, down here from the top. So very gently, as you would see, it fades as it goes on. I'll do another streak there. Just very light colours. Do one or two of those. Don't got too many, look wrong. There you go. So you need a tiny bit amount of paint on the brush, and just continue doing that. Okay, that stage of the weathering is done with the streaks there. It's come out really well. The next stage, if you look at retaining walls, either on the internet or go and visit some sites, you'll find there's a lot of moss on the walls. So I'm going to replicate that. What I'm going to use here is a bit of glue, obviously, and some very, very fine grass, fine turf flock. So what I'm going to do, use a stick here, and just gently go over certain areas like this. Just various points, just do that across the area, and then probably just best do it that way actually. Some other packet would help. Scatter the flock on the glued parts and continue that for a while. Okay, as you can see, the moss has been applied, it's now drying, making the walls look more realistic now, so don't go too far over the top on this one. And just a few more details. Okay, the next stage, I've just taken some small twigs out of the bush set from Woodland Scenics and just pull some of the fine pieces off. So we're going to have some small vegetation growth coming out of the brickwork. So that's just going to be applied next. Okay, so I've added the vegetation to the brickwork. As you can see, it looks more realistic. Don't overdo this, no need to. If you look at proper sites, there's only bits and pieces of foliage and plants sticking out there, so you don't need that many. The top one there, so some more. There's plants sticking out there. The next stage is for the retaining walls to go on the layout. Okay, it's now added to the layout, and as you can see, it blends in quite well. It's come out quite well as well. Just slopes off down this side. Zoom back a bit. Just a bit of scenic stuff at the bottom there to fill in. But the wall looks pretty good.